The political decisions people make will affect many lives. Many people see politics as the government and the laws being made. While that is true, it's way more complicated than that.
I don't know what type of procedure is this.
Some of you may be aspiring to positions of leadership in the political arena.
And I accepted full responsibility.
But the question is, why do you want to lead?
It has everything to do with you. Every law that is made will impact many. Sometimes the decisions do affect people negatively. Therefore, it's very important to note that every vote that you cast will either break or make people. Politics with GA brings you the latest political news as well as insight and analyst as we discuss the most important issues that matter. Hello and welcome to Politics with GA. The defection train is here again. The ruling All Progressive Congress yesterday suffered yet another setback in the National Assembly as 4 of its members in the House of Representatives defected to various other political parties. This is coming as a group operating under the auspices of APC Aspirants Forum has stated that President Muhammadu Buhari promised to compensate them. The group, which was part of those who met President Buhari last week, comprises of 7,000 governorship, federal and state aspirants of the APC who lost out in the recent party primaries. Members of the House of Representatives who announced their decisions to dump the APC on resumption from their 2 weeks adjournment were Dapo Lam Adesina of Oyo State, who joined the African Democratic Congress, Abiodun Awole of Oyo, who left the Accord Party, and Segun Williams of the Ogun State Labour Party, and Lawali Hassan of Zamfara, who joined the People's Democratic Party. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, who read their defection letters yesterday morning, noted that the lawmakers attributed their decisions to lingering crises in their parties. All the lawmakers involved in the defections assured their colleagues that they had had extensive consultations with their constituents before taking the decision. However, in a bid to ensure that peace reigns and that the parties focused and united towards the 2019 general elections, the presidency and the leadership of the APC are working on a template to compensate the aggrieved members. The Independent National Electoral Commission has said that over 300,000 ineligible voters were dropped after the automatic fingerprint identification system screened out their names as part of efforts aimed at ensuring a clean voters register for the 2019 elections. The electoral body published the voters registered across the country on Tuesday. This is coming as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Prince Uche Secondus, urged voters to troop out to their various polling booths to check their names during the 4-day display of the register, saying it is the first step against rigging elections in 2019. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, said for the registered voters, as at last week, before I traveled, I was told that over 300,000 names were dropped after the automatic fingerprint identification system. But cleaning the voters' register is not just the responsibility of the Commission, it is also the responsibility of every Nigerian, says the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakub. AFIS is a system used by the electoral body to check multiple registrations. The Independent National Electoral Commission has promised Nigerians that it will make the 2019 ballot papers voter-friendly. This, according to Mr. Festus Okoye, the National Electoral Commissioner in charge of Anambra, Enugu and Benue State, is to ensure the Commission delivers free, fair and credible elections to Nigerians. I spoke to Comrade Harvey Avanrenren about INEC's preparedness for the 2019 elections and other issues. It's been 19 years of uninterrupted democratic experience. Would you say you're happy with the level of progress we've made as a country since 1999 as we in the run-up to general elections next year?
To say if an average Nigerian,
yes,
an average informed Nigerian is happy is something that one cannot really pinpoint, because there's nothing really to be happy about. If you're really informed about governance, about democracy, about how other nations have left us behind, you know, where there's no indication for happiness. There is nothing to be happy about. Like the one book said, there's nothing to write home about our almost 19 years of democracy.
So
Nothing
if you
to
look
write
at
home about.
education, electricity, health, not much
I
progress
think
going on.
to give credit to our leaders, not to just say they don't do anything at all. If you x-ray the economy, you know, sector by sector, you know, the only sector one would say, okay, because of the global revolution is the IT sector, you know.
Yes.
So every other sector, there is nothing, there's no improvement, there's not sustainable improvement, there's no verifiable improvement. You know, all we hear is promises upon promises. Is it in agriculture? Is it in education? Is it in health? Just name them.
So there's a saying that the people deserve the kind of leaders they get. Is it a followership problem, or is it a leadership problem that we're not asking the politicians the right questions and keeping them accountable?
You say the people deserve the type of leaders they get. It's tricky, you know, because you wouldn't know where to cut the seemingly cyclic. It's a jinx when the people don't do their part, or when they are choosing leaders. They allow themselves to be so used, and they choose the leader based on criteria that are not global. So you don't expect such leaders to perform. So by and large, I think I will agree with that saying that the people deserve the kind of leaders or leadership they have. Because one, the leaders are also a part of the people. So what the people is known for, what the people do, the kind of attitude the people exhibit is the same kind of attitude the leaders, who are a subset of the people, will also exhibit.
Now, if you look at Nigeria since 1960 and you look at all indices and indicators, it's quite sobering if you look at the statistics. Whether you're opposition or you're the government in power, we're not really doing well on all levels, and this is quite sad. And with this sort of problems, you would expect a sense of urgency and that an emergency situation to fix this numerous problems bedeviling us as a nation. But recently, there's been a debate, fierce debate, taking over our political sphere in Nigeria about the certificate, the secondary school leaving certificate of Mr. President. Do you think is it relevant to have that conversation, or is it distracting?
In a sense, it's distractive, because we didn't get it right from the beginning. You know, so no matter how far you've gone, at the moment you know that where you are on the wrong path, no matter how far you've gone, the best decision at that time is to turn back. You understand? So we never got it right from the beginning, right from independence. You know, the founding fathers had very lofty ideas, a very sweet dream for every Nigerian, where everybody, as far as you are a Nigerian, even foreigners can pursue happiness with freedom. That is the idea. That was the dream. You know, I think the first coup, that is where the problem started.
January
and
66.
the problem is still lingering on to today, because there is no trust among the ethnic minorities, or the ethnic group that make up Nigerians. There is mutual suspicion. You know, personally, I see this country as a nation that exists on pretense. You understand? Because somebody from Cross River see himself as a Calabar man before he see himself as a Nigerian. Somebody from Edo will see himself as an Edo man. Of course, when a Yoruba man hears another person speaking Yoruba, for instance, a Yoruba man in Kano hears someone speaking Yoruba, he will naturally be closer to that man, because one, the architecture of the governance architecture, social and economic architecture of Nigeria does not encourage that integration.
But it was not always like that. There was a time in Enugu that the mayor of Enugu was a Fulani man. And
I think that is the before that was before independence. Yes. Before independence, you know. So the colonial masters, though they have their selfish agenda, but they came and tried to build, to install structures, governance structures. You understand? But
yes.
When they left, the first generation leaders tried the bit to follow suit. But when the military came in, that was where the constitution that was agreed upon by the founding fathers was suspended.
Yes.
That was where a section of the country started seeing themselves as they are born to rule. That is where a section of the nation started seeing themselves as the owners of Nigeria. They wake up, they started, you see, they were started ruling with decrees, whereby you don't consult the people, you give them what, you just wake up
so you feel even in a democracy,
low.
We still have vestiges and a hangover of those prolonged military years.
This, our democracy that started 19 years ago, I think it has a foundational problem. You understand? Because if you look at where we are coming from, how the people were able to muzzle themselves out of the clutches of the military. It was not freely given. The democracy was not freely given.
I mean, the 1999 Constitution.
You understand? So,
military
the 1999 Constitution, I don't think Nigeria even have 1999 Constitution. It's just a pronouncement of the military. You understand me? So, it is not a constitution. Until we sit down and tell ourselves the truth and accept the truth, even though the truth is against us. You understand? If we want to, negotiate, and you know the truth, even when this truth is against your personal interest, you need to embrace it. That is the only instance that Nigeria, as a nation, can begin to tell themselves, okay, the integration will begin.
Now, next year is an election year, general elections. Politicians will be all around the country in a few days' time, campaigning and hoping, Nigerians will be hoping for a better future. We go to the polls every 4 years, and it seems this 4-year electoral cycle has not really given us so much, as they say, dividends of democracy. Yeah. What do we need to do? Because it's almost like we're in the book of Lamentations. Problems. What do we need to do to get it right as we head towards the polls next year?
I don't want to run the risk of seeing myself as already losing hope. You understand? Because as a grown-up child, my father was the ward chairman of the old defunct UPN, Unity Party of Nigeria. As a child, I was in primary school already, you know. Yeah. So I saw how politics was being played then. I saw how, even though there was not 100%, there were not perfection, but then if you compare the electionary period of that time and now, the thuggery of that time and now, the desperation of that time and now, the money in politics at that time and now, my brother, you would have no hesitation coming to the conclusion that we are not growing. Rather, we are disintegrating politically in electionary period. You see desperation. You see people complaining of bad governance. And when election comes, they willingly, sell their vote. They have this close affinity for money, not good governance. So, how do you break the jinx? Knowing fully well that these leaders enjoy the spoil out of this arrangement.
Yes.
You understand me? So
they benefit from it.
They tend to perpetuate the arrangement. They tend to make sure they fuel the arrangement to disintegrate. They fuel it to remain that way, to perpetually keep the people.
But are the people educated enough to do what is right, to make governance about them?
As far as I'm concerned, there are agencies for voters' education, for the people generally.
Yes.
Now, if the education in Nigeria, the general state of education, is there anything to write home about? Then is it now a subset of that general education you expect to be better? So there is no voters' education. Even the informed man on the street doesn't even know anything about the processes of election. What you should do as a citizen of Nigeria, whether to get yourself registered, how to collect your voter's card, and where to do that. Most informed people don't know. So what will you say of the uninformed?
Now let's talk about an issue that has been in the news for a while now, and it's almost like a blockbuster movie. Yeah. It comes out in series, and we've seen videos. I'm sure you've seen a couple of videos. The Social Rights Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on Mr. President to order an investigation into the alleged bribery allegations of the Kano State Governor Alhaji Ganduje.
Yeah.
And just yesterday, a court in a federal high court did suspend investigation because they said there's a case pending before it. What do you make of all of this?
You see, there are so many things that can only happen in Nigeria without apology. There are so many things that can only happen in Nigeria. If it happens elsewhere, there will be fire. You know, earlier said we, as a nation, tend to exist on pretense. It's not we exist on pretense.
The governor has denied those allegations. Though.
From the head to the toe, from the presidency, there is no sincerity. The governor will deny. Nigerians are that courage is not actually there to come and say, I'll be caught. Let me own up and do the honorable thing.
Mrs. Kemi Adeosun did the honorable thing recently by resigning.
Well, I give her kudos for that because where she was brought up. So though she has a Nigerian blood, but her upbringing influenced that decision that she took. But not without the hue and cry of the people. If the people didn't shout and cry, I'm sure she will remain in that position. You understand? So Ganduje has been alleged to collect bribe, not once, not twice. I have seen volume 4 of the video.
Same.
You understand? So this is a government that the number one cardinal point, let me say the only cardinal point that the government is hosted on is anti-corruption. The government is supposed to be seen not tolerant of any corruption. You understand? So the system of using deodorant for some persons and using insecticide for some other people, you make mockery of the whole governance.
But in fairness, you say it's non-interference. The president should not order the FCC to do its job. And Alhaji Ganduje does have immunity as a sitting governor. Is there any other thing they can do? Or should he come out to condemn?
If we are not pretending in this country, we shouldn't be saying the presidency cannot order EFCC to investigate. The presidency can order the Attorney General of the Federation.
Yes.
When you see, to investigate is not an indictment, Gbenga. You understand? The federal government own the people that duty. Because you said you have zero tolerance to corruption. So any allegation of corruption, whether it is founded or unfounded, you should investigate. You understand? Yes. So you don't carry on as if you make the choice of who to investigate or who not to investigate. Fayose was investigated when he was a governor, and few hours after his tenure expired, he sometimes.
And the EFCC was sending constant reminders.
Reminder to say you have to come, don't run away. So is Ganduje not a Nigerian just like Fayose? You understand? So you make mockery of the Nigerian state to the outside community, to the international community. You understand? So when the government said they are here to fight corruption, and we are okay, if there's only corruption you fight, don't destroy the country. Don't kill the child because you want to carry out a surgical procedure. Don't kill the child. Fight the corruption and let the country. But then that corruption you are fighting, you are.
It's not holistic.
Openly sectional, openly selective.
A former governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Ayodele Fayose, yesterday advised the state's governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, to face governance and stop lamenting. He spoke through his special assistant on new media, Mr. Larry Olayinka. Mr. Fayose said, "I have left office and projects done by my government can be seen by the people of Ekiti State. So he should devote his time and resources to things that the people of Ekiti can point to as his achievements after the mandate that was stolen for him might have been retrieved." The former governor is currently facing money laundering charges by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Although former President Olusegun Obasanjo has distanced himself from the second term of President Muhammadu Buhari, Mr. Olujohun Obasanjo, one of his sons, visited the president at Aso Rock last Thursday. Mr. Olujohun Obasanjo, who had earlier declared his support for the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari, held a meeting with the president at his official residence in the presidential villa. I spoke with Mr. Olujohun Obasanjo about his visit to President Muhammadu Buhari, and this is what he had to say.
Muhammadu Buhari is someone who I've known my entire life. President Muhammadu Buhari was a prominent member of my father's cabinet in his first reincarnation as head of state. President Buhari is a man for whom his words and commitment, they mean something. And in this political environment, that is very, very rare. You know, he does not speak grammar on Twitter only to stab you, people in the back. He does not go and stand in public only to betray the people's trust when they are not watching. My recent meeting with him was a very fruitful one. You know, we spoke about matters of concern to both of us, matters that you understand would have to remain between private. Gbenga, we should not be fooled and deceived by attempts to reduce our national issues to discussions about age. You and I, we've both witnessed, you know, younger, so-called younger Nigerians, those are the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings, who have attained prominent positions as ministers, as governors, and what have they done when they reach those positions? How have they improved the lives of, you know, how have they changed things for the better? What I know, Gbenga, and I'm sure you would agree with me, is that age, you know, the age of a man does not determine his character.
And on the foreign scene, Democrats have regained control of the House of Representatives, a momentous win in the midterm elections that will enable the party to block much of President Donald Trump's agenda and bombard the president with investigations. That's all on today's edition of Politics with GA. Until next time, I'm Gbenga Aborowa. Thanks for watching. The political decisions people make will affect many lives. Many people see politics as the government and the laws being made. While that is true, it's way more complicated than that.
I don't know what type of procedure is this.
Some of you may be aspiring to positions of leadership in the political arena.
And I accepted full responsibility.
But the question is, why do you want to lead?
It has everything to do with you. Every law that is made will impact many. Sometimes the decisions do affect people negatively. Therefore, it's very important to note that every vote that you cast will either break or make people. Politics with GA brings you the latest political news as well as insight and analyst as we discuss the most important issues that matter.